G'day, I'm Ash. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. Let me ask you a question. Are you tired of top tier jets? Well, do like as I did, and after playing a day of playing nothing but top tier jets, come crashing down and give in and play some low tiers. It's often that you find that you're probably doing a little bit better in a lower end and having a little more fun. And certainly, that is what we're going to be having a look at today. Now, I do apologise for the commentary in the background you're hearing. For some reason, it didn't record my microphone. So all I have is the game sound and the communication with Elder and Jeebus, my two squad mates here, who are also flying IAR-81Cs. Now, why did I pick this plane in particular? Don't know, to be honest. I haven't the foggiest why I actually picked it. We're currently discussing where the shotgun primer is, or if this aircraft indeed had a shotgun primer. There's a bunch of shells sitting around the center console and around the joystick itself, and we're just trying to figure out if this thing was shotgun started or whether those are flares. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments down below. There's also two interesting blue levers and a red lever, which we have no idea what they do. They seem to move on their own during the match, and that's also particularly interesting. But the cockpit's nice, and I'd love to see more Romanian and Hungarian aircraft in War Thunder at some point, even if it goes into the Italian tech tree, like, for example, this particular vehicle here, but it doesn't necessarily matter. We're running a German skin on it nonetheless. Brief overview here. It's 2.7, it's a fighter, it's got one crew, takeoff weight of 2.9 tons, burst mass of 3.11 kilograms, service ceiling and max performance you get out of the engine is about 9,500 meters. And the engine, well, it's a radial air-cooled, and, well, the gear basically destroys itself at 280 kilometers and structural at 680. But again, a lot of looking in the cockpit right now. Get over it in a second. Now, it is armed with two 20mm MG151 cannons with 350 rounds and two 7.92 FN Browning machine guns, making this aircraft a particularly unique aircraft in the way that it's armed. That being said, 1,400 rounds is, well, just enough to get yourself a decent amount of kills. Still discussing whether or not where the shotgun starter is. I doubt it is a shotgun starter at this point. Looking all around for a tube where you just launch it in and then the shotgun starter would kick the engine on. I honestly think they are flares. Moving on, there's an oxygen filter on the bottom left there. Throttles are left and right. Just that little knob on the side there. You've got your elevator trims and etc, etc. But it'd be nice to see some more Romanian aircraft in War Thunder at least. Essentially, it's the first domestic produced Romanian plane in the game, and, you know, it's added to Italian tech tree as I mentioned before. But this thing can also get a 250 excuse me. This thing can also get a 250 kilogram bomb, and also a bunch of other things. Also, you can get two WFR GR21 rockets, so that should be particularly interesting. It does cost 1,000 golden eagles. The repair is 1,800 silver lions, and the reward for battle is about 18% plus 100 on your research for silver lions, and 120% on that for your silver. Now, it looks to be a 109E. Obviously, it has combat flaps, takeoff flaps, landing flaps, and an arrestor gear. It doesn't have air brakes and doesn't have a drag chute. Mind you don't need it, it's 2.7. It does have a 75mm bulletproof glass windshield and obviously a 12.7mm headrest. That being said, the optimal altitude is about 3,900 and we're passing about 3,000 right now. Even at 100% engine power, or even at wartime emergency with 1,090 horsepower. Actually, the cons of this aircraft are, well, it's a great multi-role aircraft. The MG-15 cannons have a very high explosive and powerful rounds. It's got good payload options. It's got great cockpit visibility and a decent armament. However, it is uncontrollable at high speeds. All the controls will lock up, as we're just starting to get into combat here. It can't compete with most turn fighters, doesn't do well in boom and zoom applications either, so you really have to play it off as lucky as you can get. Now, it doesn't have breakout features, you know, like a fighter interceptor or a bomber interceptor or even a fighter bomber. So it's really just sort of a domestically produced IAR. And while it might be the best Italian premium you could possibly get your hands on, at the same time, it's not exactly the greatest either. As you can see, a bunch of Spitfires and P-40s and even a Typhoon is a worrying ordeal as it is. Plus, the Italians get access to a premium Spitfire at a higher battle rating, which can obviously probably perform a bit better. In fact, it does. As you see, we're diving in on our first target, the Spitfire. And I will say, the big downside is the fact that this thing has wing-mounted all firearms, and the location lowers the fire density and brings the issue of gun conversions into play here, but it doesn't necessarily matter. We break off, and we're using stealth rounds. We rip that Spitfire's tail clean off. He doesn't have any controls. He'll be going in, confirming our first kill of the match. That's okay, but there's another Spitfire inbound, as Jeebus makes the call out. Ready?
Oh, you're not wrong about this thing locking up at high speed.
Yep, it really does lock up at high speed. Anyway, we've got a Spitfire to chase, and hopefully we can get a lucky couple of shots on him. Set him on fire, that's a critical hit, and we rip the other side of his aircraft in half. That is our second kill. Now, looking at the radar again, we spot another Spitfire. Spitfires tend to be the bane of all existence right now. And, well, here we go, VB Trop. This thing in a turn fight is particularly tricky to try and get. As you can see, it can't turn fight particularly well, but we pull up and he makes a mistake. We litter him with some shells. I did manage to get a hit. I did warn the boys about this. But we're going to pull up after the Spitfire. Hopefully we can get guns on him. We do manage to get a critical hit. Hopefully that's enough to put him out of action. I think it is. And there it is, the third kill of the match. Next up, P40, and we've wiped out a considerable amount of their team already, just in the first primary engagement. It pays to pay attention, and it also pays to have two really good teammates communicating effectively in a situation like this. But then again, this aircraft is really interesting in a close air support role, and I highly recommend that you check it out in ground forces if you do own one. If not, it's a fantastic fighter that sort of gets the job done. Now, I've been meaning to do videos on this particular aircraft for a very long time, but as P40 is, definitely stalling out in front of me. Unfortunately, for him, absolute utter domination via pilot snipe.
This is what you need after long day of jet grind.
Spitfire diving on you guys.
Especially after a long grind, there is nothing more than to unwind by shooting up a bunch of propeller aircraft. Always find that more enjoyable. We're going to pop the combat flaps for extra maneuverability. This Spitfire does prove a little troublesome. He does definitely know what he's doing. That being said, though, we're going to avoid his guns on the first pass. Elder does take a little bit of a hit, but survives the ordeal. Going to pull around again, hopefully pull into his 6. But as you can see, the other downfall of this aircraft, in a turn fight engagement, it loses energy retention like no tomorrow. What you should be doing is boom and zooming, but with a poor engine power, this thing doesn't climb particularly well either. That being said, the Spitfire is now preoccupied with Elder's presence. Unfortunately, he doesn't understand that I am here, and I screw up royally there, and unfortunately, that costs me my engine. But I'm after the ace, and that is all that really matters here. So, hopefully we can get him with our last few machine guns, and we do. But as the old telltale goes, what goes up must come down. Now again, I do apologise for the commentary in the background. I can't control any of that. I would have had live commentary for this one, but instead I have to go back and edit it in anyway. So yeah, we've got 5 kills in a strange aircraft, all down at the lower end of the deck, which again is not its optimum performing speed. I guess the enemies were just caught off guard with the amount of aircraft in the area, and we were lucky in the fact that we could actually do so much damage in the hindsight, knowing that there'd only be a couple more aircraft left for the team to kill, and so far it looks like the team is doing fairly well. Jeebus is returning to base, so is Elder, and well, I'm sitting here, staring at the floor, and watching Jeebus land without an engine. So, to be clear here, it is good to take a break from top tier. It is great to take a break from the grind. It can get a little tedious, you know, waiting 2 minutes for a match, flying for 3 minutes, getting killed in 30 seconds. It is really frustrating, but at the same time, it is rewarding to break that cycle. And obviously, you'll have a little more fun and enjoy yourself at the same time. Anyway, stay tuned on the channel where we do a couple of other interesting things. We've got some more dev server content maybe coming out and all sorts of other exciting things. So thank you very much for watching today. My name is Ash. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.